I'd like to call to order the West Mifflin Area School District regular board meeting, Thursday, September 23rd, 2021. Being held in the West Mifflin Area School, Middle School, 81 Commonwealth Avenue, West Mifflin, PA 15122. Meeting begins at 7 p.m. Opening exercises, pledge to the flag.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Ahern.
Here.
Alexandrov.
Here.
Bennett.
Here.
Engler.
Here.
Costello.
Here.
Mattis.
Here.
White.
Here.
DeSenzo. Here. Blazevich.
Here. 2 presentation items. Dr. Solomon.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have one presentation tonight. Presentation A, congratulations to Claire Barton Elementary School and their students for receiving a $10,000 donation from Bowser Subaru through the Subaru Loves Learning Initiative and adoptaclassroom.org. This donation will support more than 220 students at Claire Barton and enable the teachers to equip their classrooms with supplies, materials, and tools needed for the students to learn and thrive in school. The presentation now is to Ms. Haney and her staff, and congratulations again.
Out in the audience, and then Mrs. Bandit and Mrs. Jacob who are here. And also, a big thank you to Mrs. Jacob. She is the one who took the initiative to contact Subaru to get this money and to initiate the funds we needed for our students at Claire Barton. So without her, this check wouldn't be here, so we want to thank her for that. Also, we want to thank Megan, who's here, and also the Subaru crew from Bowser Subaru. Again, without their funds, we wouldn't be helping the students at Claire Barton Elementary, so we want to thank them. One more thing, I'm sorry. Subaru also donated a backpack for every one of the students at Claire Barton. They will be receiving those this week as well.
Thank you, Dr. Solomon.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. That concludes the presentation.
Dr. Solomon, do you want to introduce the student board representatives?
Yes, Mr. President. We have our student board reps for this evening. Our first student board rep is the student council president, and that is Cassandra Short. Traditionally, the student council president and the senior class president are the student board reps as part of the inter-club council at the high school. Our senior class president is Jamer Hill, who is not in attendance tonight. In the president's place is Isaac Ballard, who is the senior class vice president. Now, as part of that process, and I was talking this short here beforehand, the report at this point would be given as a result of the minutes from the inter-club council. And then up at the microphone there. And at that point, you do have the option that if you had to go and home study and do what you have to do at that point. So just to let you know, but thank you very much for coming this evening, Mr. President.
Thank you, Dr. Solomon. Thank you, student board representatives. We appreciate your time and volunteerism and leadership within the district. We appreciate that very much. Number 3, addendum items.
Yes, Mr. President, we have 3 addendums for tonight. Under item 8, superintendent's report, letter C. It is recommended the board approve the request for the high school fall play production, She Kills with the Monsters, Friday, November 19th, Saturday, November 20th at 7 p.m. If ticket sales are good, they are requesting possibly to do a Saturday 2 o'clock matinee. Under 9, professional league. Under E, other, it is recommended the board approve the Kindness Club at the junior middle school, sponsored by Mrs. Bishop and Mrs. Hillingsberg, as a supplemental rate of $1,325. And the last one, under 11, athletic personnel. It is recommended by the athletic committee to hire Laura Jones as the girls' high school varsity basketball coach, effective September 24th, as per the supplemental salaries in the CBA upon receipt of all clearances. Those are the 3 addendums.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. DeCenzo, second by Mr. Alexandrov. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Bennett.
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Astounding,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
DeCenzo. Yes. Blazevich.
Yes. Addendum items are added to the agenda. Number 4, hearing of citizens. Public comment. In order to speak at this time, the following must be met. Must include your name and home address. Must be a West Mifflin, Whitaker, or Duquesne resident. Matter must have been discussed through proper education channels. District email comments to the board president or superintendent, or director comments here to the board president or superintendent, please. If you have questions on the agenda, we'll try to keep track of those, and as we cover them through the agenda, address them there. Diane Stanesic.
Diane Smith, 2803 Dwelling. Under finance, number 1, with regards to the transfer, the construction fund, is there a time frame when the construction fund of 2019 has to be used by? My next question would be
Number 6, the transfer of $20,000 from the general fund to the athletic fund. I'd like to know what that entails. Under C, purchasing, number 5, let's not get excited here because I usually don't do this. But I do think that we should just go ahead and replace the marquee because even though they found around $10,000 remotely of what's wrong with it, we all know electronics, it's 10 years old, and I'm sure there's other motherboards that are fried in there. from the lightning strike. Number 7, I would say yes to the mine subsidence, considering what's going on at the middle school, which, by the way, I hope there's an update on that. Under invoices, the school crossing guard, is that the district's half portion that they pay under district operations? I thought all of the schools were Title I. I could be mistaken, so I'd like to have that clarified. And are all your nurses school certified nurses? The question on page 11, with the 3% raise for the part-time nursing assistant, but I wanted to know if all of your nurses are school certified nurses. I think that's all my questions, but I do know that we don't want to spend money unnecessarily, but I do know that, we have COVID money and state money that was given to us for educational purposes, and I don't know the time frame on when you have to use your funds from the construction fund, because I would hate to see if there's any kind of fine that we aren't hit with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Knesset. Mark Donahoe?
Hello, Mark Donahue, 1743 Timothy Drive. Originally, a couple weeks ago, I thought about coming here to talk about the mask situation. However, given the proper move by the board last month, the way they handled it, along with the changes in the mandate from the government, and the good news now, it seems like we'll be able to vaccinate children from 5 to 12, hopefully in the next couple months. Hopefully, that's now become a moot point, and hopefully, we can all move on forward from that. My question this evening is just that in the last couple of days, I've received some phone calls from people about the marquee. Now, there may be confusion, and there's possibly even confusion on my part. It seems like replace this for $85,000 or use insurance. That's what's set out there for $500, which may not be true, and I understand that. So what I was hoping to do is just get clarification from the board why it's necessary to go for this, just for the general public, because there's a lot of people talking about it, going back and forth, and it just might, for something like this, it just might be something that it's nice to get out in front of it if there are reasonable reasons. It seems like a lot of money if you can have insurance take care of it. But again, I don't know the reasons, and a lot of people don't know the reasons, so we're just looking for some clarification, that's all. Thank you.
And we'll touch on that a little bit. We did talk about that at length in our work session last week. But we can touch on that again when we get to that agenda item. Claudine Wolasek?
Claudine Wolasek, 3325 Lincoln Avenue. I have a few things tonight. We're talking about possibly dumping all this money into a marquee. Do we even know if the state's going to take over that portion of the property? They say they're not now, but how do we know down the road that that's not going to be an issue? I think we can spend money a lot better places. Hire a strings teacher. Mr. Kessler is one man. He is teaching the entire band for the whole entire school district, all middle school classes, high school classes, teaching strings at the high school. He has the marching band. He has football games that he has to leave early for. What's that deterring from their teaching of the younger kids? I know his older kids are 5 in the morning. It's a Disney year, but we leave them to go to Disney. What's going to happen with that? Every other year is a Disney year. No chamber strings. I mean, does anybody realize how much stuff the strings department did that these kids are losing out on right now. I mean, music is an integral part of their being. I mean, my son wants to go to college for music. And I'm sorry, I just honestly feel, and it's nothing against the staff, I have 100% faith and then some in our music department staff. But Mr. Kessler is one man. He has a family. He can't be 50 people at one time. You seriously need to start thinking about long-term effects of the decisions that you make. Secondly, I mean, and I'm not trying to bash everybody on this, but, you know, we're posting jobs on Facebook and it's, the comments are horrid. And I can attest to it. I really can. I mean, you sit in negotiations and you tell us that we're comparably paid. We are not. In the custodial staff, we are the lowest paid custodians anywhere in this vicinity. Double check where you got your information from. We're doing multiple jobs and nobody seems to care. My last thing I want to bring up, you know, there was an email sent out back in June about the passing of Mr. Crux, who was a past school board member. His wife was a past employee. But you know, we lost an employee in this district the beginning of this month. No mention, no email, nothing. Do you know how many buildings that boy worked in? He was 21 years old. And you can't have the decency to notify the staff that he passed away? Do you know how many buildings he worked in? Do you know how many people that he touched their lives and that affected them? I sat at this balloon release on Sunday and the whole entire custodial staff from Homeville was there. Did you know he worked there too? He went to the high school. Do you know how many teachers were affected by him passing away? Do you think we could have had the courtesy of sending an email out with the information?
Thank you.
Something.
Thank you. Teresa Suckley.
Teresa Suckley, 110 Main Entrance Drive, West Mifflin. I'm coming to talk about the replacement of the marquee. I don't think we have enough information. And I also thought, just from, you know, coming to board meetings month after month, that when a committee meeting is held and the committee makes a decision, that is the vote that is brought to the board. Not calling someone out on the stage to make a recommendation. I mean, I watched the Buildings and Grounds meeting that Kevin was present at and recorded, and it seemed like the recommendation from the folks that were there was to not replace it. And then last week, Mr. Bennett was pretty much put on the spot and asked to make a decision. My thing is that I thought that's what committees were supposed to be for. To come to the board, to come to the superintendent with a recommendation. I think it's a lot of money. I don't think it's been thoroughly looked into as to the amount of repairs that are needed to be done. Seeing something remotely from their device isn't giving us enough information as to what's wrong. I think it's a lot of money to throw away. I have listened to Gina state, you know, after the meetings about we've got a laundry list of other projects. Well, why are we spending $90,000 when we've got other stuff that needs to be done? I think it's a lot of money, and if we can get away with fixing it for $500, I'd rather spend $500 than $90,000. And then the last thing is communication. My daughter's a junior. Communication in this district completely is ridiculous. We're learning on phone calls about the kids not having school on election day, but yet none of us were notified that our kids were taking state tests. I think that's something that's more important, especially when they really didn't go to school, haven't been in the buildings. We knew nothing about it. My daughter came home from school on a Thursday in tears because she's an 11th grader and wasn't able to take the Keystones. when she was in ninth grade. So because of the pandemic. So they were required to take them. And they were told in an assembly or meeting or class or whatever during ninth period that they were all testing. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that parents were not notified. I just think communication is lacking tremendously, and I think it's something that seriously needs to be addressed.
Thank you. Luann Leskovitz.
Luann Leskovitz, 2653 Glenny Lane. So early this evening, I sent most of you an email. I apologize if I excluded anybody. I think I got you all. So what I'm here to talk about today is the special ed department, specifically the paraprofessionals. I'm not sure if everyone here is aware of how understaffed our special ed department is. We currently have 26 paraprofessionals and we are slotted for 40. So we're at about 65% efficiency. So as a school district, I feel like we're failing. I know it's a D, but we're failing. I know we posted positions, but we're not enticing people to apply for these positions. If we can't get people in the door, my suggestion was you have a dedicated staff who has given you 6, 7, 8+ years. To possibly, and I know we're in a contract, but to possibly make some of those part-time positions into full-time positions, since those people know the job, know the requirements, know they might have to change diapers. I'm not sure if you're all aware of that, but we do have kids in diapers or potty training. We currently, I can only speak really for Claire Barton, we have 32 kids, 2 teachers, 1 full-time paraprofessional, 5 part-time paras, 32 kids, grades K through 3, 4 lunches, 4 recesses, 4 sets of specials. Plus those 5 paras need lunches of their own. We're getting kids off the bus, putting kids on the correct buses at the end of the day, and we're stretched too thin. We only work 5.5 hours. The children are in the building for 7. We're trying to stagger schedules. It's just not working. I don't know what the solution is. I just came here to mention it so that it's out there. I've sent some emails. I don't know what the solution is, so I'm kind of putting that on you guys. I just know I work there and we're stretched thin and we need a little help. I know I'm an 11-year employee. The dedication and the enthusiasm I used to have is waning. And it's waning because neighboring districts are hiring full-time paraprofessionals. I've been here 11 years, so my salary is pretty far up there. So those districts can't compete. But as you've seen by the Facebook posts, Costco, McDonald's, Wendy's kind of can, pretty quickly. I love what I do. I enjoy working with these kids, but it's getting difficult. And I'm asking, pleading for help. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian Mock.
It's Brian Mash, it's 151 Longview Drive, that's Mifflin. I also wanted to talk about the marquee. I had a whole speech written, you have to listen to everybody else speak. Simply put, this is a misappropriation of funds. When you have the ability to spend $500 for an insurance deductible, as opposed to spending $90,000 for a brand new marquee, that's misappropriation of funds. You just heard the young lady come up here and say that they're 65% short on their workforce. And you want to spend $90,000 on this sign. And you can use that money towards staff. That's ridiculous. There's vacancies in special education. There's a vacant spot for an orchestra teacher. There's benches in the Homeville Elementary gym that need repaired. And you want to spend $90,000 on a marquee. For what? Why do we need a marquee? Why exactly do we need a marquee? $90,000 for a marquee, why? Spend the $500 deductible to have it fixed, or nothing at all. It's absolutely ridiculous. We currently rank 480th in the state as a school district for the high school, and 89th in the Pittsburgh metro area. We're 43% for math proficiency at the high school, 65% for reading proficiency. And in the nation, we rank 8,161st for college readiness. But let's go ahead and spend the $90,000 on a brand new marquee.
Yeah.
Paula, Lobby? Okay, thank you. Number 5, information items, there are none. Number 6, board secretary, business managers report.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would respectfully request a motion, second, and approval on the following items. Item 6A, under Board of Directors, number 1 on pages 1 and 2.
Motion.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. DeSenza,
Second.
second by Mr. Bennett. Questions or comments? Just to be sure, this is 6A1.
Yes.
Roll call?
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Stoughton,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
DeSenzo,
Yes.
Blazevich.
Yes.
Item 6B, finance numbers 1 through 6 on pages 2 and 3. Item number 3, as I discussed last week, that number did increase in value of the refund. Number 5 is new. Every year, we have to send out the Act 1 notice to the residents that do not have one. We engage the AIU to help us do such. The estimated cost this year about $1,200 to do so. And item number 6, the transfer of $20,000 from the general fund to the athletic department account. As you recall, in the fall of 2019, the board voted to establish this account to pay referees. That's all this account does, pays referees for all the sports. Normally, I make $10,000 transfers, but this will get us through the better part of the year. We may have to make a transfer later on in the year.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Alexandro,
Second.
second by Mr. DeSenza. Questions or comments? I have a question, Mr. Esper. Do we know the time frame by which we have to spend the construction fund money from 2019?
I think Mr. Esper was going to have me answer that question,
Okay,
Mr.
thank you.
President. It matters really where the funds came from. If they were bond issuance funds that were put into that account, those funds have to be spent within 3 years, 75% of them. After that, the rest of those funds could be left in there for any period of time used for construction-related issues. If they are funds that were transferred into a construction fund from the general fund or from some other means, those funds really have no expiration to be used.
Thank you.
So, Mr. President, we have spent 75% of those bond issuances, so there is no rush to spend the rest of the money.
Thank you.
However, those monies cannot be spent on personnel. Right, Mr. Maddox?
Any funds that were, if there were funds transferred into a fund from the general fund, they could be transferred back out at some point. But I believe all the funds that are in there currently are funds that were taken from a bond issuance. Those have to be strictly spent on construction-related type issues.
Thank you. Any other questions? Roll call?
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Stoughton,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
DeSenzo,
Yes.
and Blazevich.
Yes.
Item 6C, numbers 1 through 7 on page 3. Item 1 was discussed last week, 2 was discussed in committee, 3 was discussed in committee, 4 was discussed in committee. 5 was discussed in committee, and there was a presentation from the gentleman from NEFCO. Dollars per any structure, regardless of the value. They raised the rates to $1 million. Obviously, $1 million is probably not enough, but that's the most coverage we can get on our buildings.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Alexandrov,
Second.
second by Mr. DeCenzo. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Ahern,
No to number 5, yes to the others.
Mr. Blazevich, can I interrupt for 1 second, please?
Yes?
I apologize. I just want to comment on number 5. I thought somebody would give a little bit more explanation for the people here this evening that weren't here last week to witness the presentation from the vendor. Obviously, it's a sensitive subject, not something that anybody sitting up here really make a decision on. But Mrs. Engler went on Facebook and not very surprisingly so, I don't feel she really included all of the information that went in, that is going into making this decision. The $500 option is one option of the two. Now we have a check, or we have monies allocated from the insurance company totaling approximately somewhere between $17,000 and $20,000, $17,000, that if we choose to replace, they will contribute based on the depreciating value of the sign. They will contribute to the purchase of a new one that will offset the cost. The board, as it's in its current state, is 10 or 12 years old. It's out of warranty. So yes, spending the $500 to repair it seems very simple. And why would anybody think to do anything otherwise? But you run the risk of the board, it's already outlived its shelf life. So at any moment in the future, excuse me, this board is going to be faced with a decision when the board completely fails to replace it at that moment. We have an opportunity right now to use that $17,000 that the insurance company will give us to offset the cost of a new board. We will lose that, we will forfeit that by just simply repairing. So again, as it's not the most ideal decision to have to make, unfortunately, when you sit up here, these things fall in your lap. So, I'm going to support purchasing a new board just for the simple fact that we will have a new board, it will be under warranty, and this way, moving forward, any damages to that board will be covered under that warranty. The gentleman from NEFCO also mentioned that you're going to replace old technology with new technology, and the board is not going to look, it's not going to look proper. You're going to be able to tell the difference visibly with the new lighting versus next to the old lighting. So, again, I know it's not an easy decision. It's not one that anybody wants to make, but I just think that in the near future, this board or a future board is going to have to decide when that one eventually fails, being the current age of it, to replace it. And we could take advantage of the offsetting monies that are available to us now.
Mr. Esper, can you give us the total of the insurance check that was given to the district?
If we choose, the first check we got was $10,600 some dollars. And if we choose to replace it, they would send us another $5,500. So if you look at the motion, the amount that's being transferred out of the capital projects fund to the construction, or from the construction fund to the capital projects fund, is the net cost, which is $72,232.
Thank
So
you.
that's the net.
Yeah.
After the
I
offset.
think it is fair to mention that the figure that is being thrown around is not accurate either. And so, also, this money
will be coming from the construction fund. It will not be coming from the general fund, which I will gladly vote on tonight to support any of the initiatives that have been mentioned here this evening. But this money will not be coming from the same pot of money. This is earmarked specifically for projects just like this.
And that's taxpayer money.
Yes.
Any more questions or comments, even though we called roll call? But thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate that
Uh-huh.
opportunity.
Joe, roll call, please.
Ahern, I'm sorry, Mrs. Ahern, Alexandrov,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes to everything but the 5.
Engler,
Yes to everything but C5.
Pistonik,
No to number 5, but yes to everything else.
Mattis,
Yes.
White,
Absolutely not to number 5, but yes to everything else.
DeSenza,
Yes.
and Blazevich.
Yes.
Mr. President, everything passed on a 7-0 vote with the exception of number 5, which failed on a 5-4 vote. So with that vote not passing, Mr. Matta, I guess we'll proceed with repairing the board. I don't think.
Well, I think we need to talk about that. I don't think we made a decision to repair it. I think we just did not vote to replace it.
Can the committee make a recommendation?
Not right this second, but
Okay.
we can. Let's get through the agenda, and maybe we can talk about that in new business, if that's okay. Okay. Go ahead, Joe. D minutes.
Number 16 minutes, number 1 on page 3.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Costello.
Second.
Second by Mrs. White. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Pistonik,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
DeSenza,
Yes.
Blazevich.
Yes.
Item 6C, reports numbers 1 through 5 on pages 3 and 4.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Engler.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Engler. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Pistonik,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
DeSenza,
Yes.
and Blazevich.
Yes.
Item 6F, refund subtracted from expenditures number 1 on page 4.
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Costello.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Ahern. Questions or comments?
I have a question. Mr. Esper, I didn't see any deposits from the athletic department. Is that true?
These are what we call contras, so they're not revenues, or revenues which go against the expenses. So there were deposits on the secretary receipts report that you have. I'm sorry, I got we've made them this month. There was nothing happened in August.
Okay.
So for this month, we have made this deposit, they'll show up next month.
I would like to see the deposits for the last 2 football games, as well as the parent passes that were sold as cash only when they're available, please.
What was the second part?
The parent passes that were sold as
Parent
cash
passes.
only.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, I do. I would like to see all the gate receipts from August 2016 to present. And I would like that shared with the entire board.
They said it's 2016,
Correct.
last 5 years.
And I would like to have it by next Friday.
I'll do my best.
Thank you.
The auditors are here, they'll be here, we've been very busy, keeping them busy with their requests.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Pistonik,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
DeSenza,
Yes.
and Blazevich.
Yes.
So I just want to clarify your request. You just want to see the numbers, because that's easy. But if you actually want to see deposit slips into visible,
Yes, the
then that's
deposits.
gonna require us to go to the vault. Go
That's
to audit
fine,
that stuff.
whatever it takes.
Okay, so I don't think next Friday we can give us 2 weeks.
How about 2 weeks?
Yeah, 2 weeks is
Okay.
much more thing.
Okay.
Item 6G, invoices numbers 1 through 5 on pages 4 and 5. Everything was discussed last week. I did make the correction on J, that was for the home built wall project, and we did receive an invoice from Jonathan Hess, our tax collector, for the first installment for 2021. He receives $4 for every installment that he processes, for those who pay in three installments instead of all at once. And everything else was discussed last week.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Eager,
Second.
second by Mrs. Engler. Questions or comments? Joe, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
The crossing guards and Whitaker, West Mifflin crossing.
Yes,
guards,
that's-
Is that half?
Yeah, it's that, yes.
Thanks. Any other questions? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Astounding,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Senzo,
Yes.
and Blazevich.
Yes.
Number 6H, requisitions other, on page 5.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Kostelnik,
Second.
second by Mrs. White. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Astounding,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Senzo,
Yes.
and Blazevich.
Yes.
Mr. President, that so concludes my report.
This item is not on the agenda, but it probably should have been under presentations. If we'd like to give time for our student board representatives to give their report to the board, if you would like, you guys can step up to the podium and give us your report, please. Thank you.
There's a red button on the bottom of my page.
The bottom of the microphone, sir.
Is it on? Next.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So at Mifflin High School right now, we are currently in the middle of our Start with Hello week. Start with Hello was originated following the Standing Hook Promise Plan, and it's just something to get people involved and get people interacting with each other. This week so far, we did name tags through our GSA club, and everyone did a name tag with their name and their preferred pronouns. And then we encouraged everyone to say hello, read the name tags, just get involved with everyone. On Tuesday, we did a wave and say hello, just to get people to interact with one another. And we made handprints, that was our art club. And we have a hello tree, which is all of our handprints. And then on Wednesday, our Future Teachers Club did positive Post-it notes. And that was basically just everything with positive affirmations. I'm smart, I'm beautiful, I'm a good friend. You were invited to take a Post-it note, keep it for yourself, or give it to your friends. And then today we did decorate masks with positive messages. So we decorated disposable masks. That is through our NHS, National Honor Society. And then tomorrow we will play Human Bingo, where we encourage everyone to try and fill out their bingo sheets. And it's basically a whole bunch of questions, and you try and get people to sign. And it's stuff like, never have I ever ridden on a plane, or I've gone on vacation to places like this, and you kind of just sign, and your goal is to fill it out. The entire purpose of the week is just to get everyone involved and to try and make new friends and just keep our school pretty lively. And then next week we have our homecoming dance. That'll be on Saturday. We also have our homecoming court. They will deliver speeches next Tuesday. Our homecoming court is Delana Blue, Allie Calvert, Jenna Collins, Lauren Ekman, Emily Mascara, Riley Miller, and Kieran Whalen. They were voted on by the senior class, and then next week they will be voted on by the entire school following speeches. And student council is also hosting a spirit week next week in honor of homecoming. On Monday, that'll be dress down day. We encourage everyone to wear sweats and just kind of be lazy and casual. Tuesday will be dress up day for speeches. Wednesday, we will do our tourist day. We encourage everyone to break out their beach shirts.
And then Thursday, we are off school, and Friday, we encourage dynamic duo day. Everyone will take the time to pair up with a friend and do something together to have like dynamic duo outfits. So that is what's going on at the high school currently. We don't have much yet because we just got started.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, school board. How's it going? Now, I
Better
was-
now.
Right, right. I was listening in, and Cassandra, thank you for what you said about the school. Things are positive at our school district at the high school. As a 17-year-old who's went to West Mifflin area high school since 5th grade, I have seen my share of troubles in the school. I've seen many positive things in the school. It's hard to say in a way. I'm 17 years old. I know many of you are grown adults with kids, wives, children, so on and so forth. So my opinion isn't extremely important when you guys go home at night. I mean, many of you may not remember when I say this, but
Can I stop you a second?
yes, sir.
Your opinion is more important to us than anybody in that back room.
Thank you.
Okay?
I would just like to say to the janitorial staff, I thank you for what you do, because unless, I know many of you seen that there's a TikTok challenge around where kleptomaniacs go into bathrooms and rip off soap dispensers and vandalize things. And I've had enough. It's a worldwide pandemic, and I want to wash my hands after I use the restroom. I hate walking halfway across the school in this house to the band hallway to wash my hands, or if not, I have to bring some hand sanitizer to school. I mean, that is quite nerve-wracking. And once again, I see you in the hallway trying your best, and I thank you for that. I really do. I don't think you get you don't get your credit that you deserve, honestly. I see you every day, and I hate seeing the grimace on some of your faces, because I see it on my face in the mirror when I go to the bathroom, and I want to scream to the top of my lungs too. But there's people taking toilet seats and whatnot, and it's enough now. I mean, people have been in for a year. I understand you've been at home, online school, and you want to get out, but once you get out, I mean, these parents don't care what their kids do sometimes when they get to school. They run amok and go home and do it all over again and just come to school the next day. Another thing I would like to say is I want to commemorate Mr. Licht and all the other principals at the high school for doing a great job, honestly. It's like sometimes it can be a little bit of a freak show and a circus to run, not gonna lie, we all know that. And I think they were doing a great job and they don't get enough credit. Also about Mr. Kessler being the only musical teacher for marching band and orchestra. I'm in marching band myself. It is my senior year. I play trumpet, part of the tight trumpet line. And I see, and assistant drum major. And I see that he's very tired a lot of the times. I look at him. I had rehearsal with him after school today. He has to walk down to the lower field, put up with people who are not listening to him and so on and so forth, and have orchestra, and go down to the middle school, and go to Homeville, and do various other things. And I hate seeing the guy like that. It makes me upset. And Jacob, and who's a part of the marching band and part of the janitorial staff, I really like Jacob. I've never seen him do anything wrong. He was always such a great kid. And the fact that he didn't get really any type of, recognition or anything, you can ask Cassandra, we go to band together every day. I just saw the guy 3 weeks ago, excuse me. I just saw him. He always drove the golf cart, he always smiled. And the fact that there was nothing like a phone call or anything, that kind of made me a little upset, a little angry to be exact, honestly. I don't know, I'm out of words for that one. And I know we want to have a budget for a new marquee, and I do admit the one at the front, it's nice, it's doing its adequate job right now, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of the things in our school district right now need other attention, if that makes sense. I apologize, I forgot your name. I'm sorry, I was writing down what you said, but 43% in math proficiency at the high school. There are people who ask me in my grade when there's time to tell time from an analog clock, they don't know. It's 8:45. Speak English. It's 8:45, man. What does that mean? And it's 8:25. It's 8:45. But people don't know. There's certain things that you have to prioritize over other things. I understand the new marquee would look pretty nice, but at the same time, There are kids who don't know how to tell time from an analog clock. There are kids failing classes right now miserably, not just because of online school anymore either. I mean, I've seen the district not so much go downhill, but take dips and swerves at times where I just kind of look and say, I mean, can you get this on track? You know what I mean? Like, but once again, about the Keystone testing, a lot of parents weren't notified. My mother was shocked when she heard the news that I was like, I have to take Keystones probably 3 days from now. It was too late by the time I got notified that I had to take them, so. And other than that, I mean, I think you guys are doing a great job. I thank you for what you do. I really do. I want to thank the security guards back there. I thank you. I see you in school every day checking bags. I see you get disrespected by students and you totally don't deserve it. I hate seeing that. People giving you and raising all types of H&W hockey sticks when you really don't deserve it. When I go to school, I try to make everybody's job the best, and I try to bring a smile to my teachers' faces. It's my senior year. I want to go easy. I just want to come out of the West Mifflin class of 2022 the best as possible and help you guys along the way. That's all I really want to do. So thank you for your time.
Number 7, district operations.
Yes, Mr. President, under district operation, we have A through F as presented.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Ahern.
Second.
Second by Mr. Mattis. Questions or comments?
I have a question. Item E is, are there any board members attending this or planning on attending this?
This is the superintendent's conference held by the IU.
I understand, but I wanted to know if there were any board members that were
No,
going.
there was no, they didn't ask for it.
Thank you.
I have a question. Under D for policy 919, is this the final list of recognized booster groups based on the timeline?
No, it's not, because we gave those sports that are not fall sports a month before the season starts.
Okay, it seemed like a short list.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandra,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Downing,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
DeSenzo,
Yes.
Blazevich.
Yes. 8, superintendent's report.
Under A, superintendent's report, Mr. President, under A, we have nothing. Under B, student activities as presented, we did get one request in for the junior ROTC for student activity, and also the junior ROTC doing a fundraiser. All other items up till C, we have a couple more facility requests, the swimming pool for conditioning, the weight room for conditioning, the cafeteria for booster meetings, and the library at Fairmark for PTA meetings.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Costello.
Second.
Second by Mrs. White. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandra,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
DeSalnick,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
DeSenzo,
Yes.
Blazevich.
Yes. 9, professional personnel.
We have professional personnel A through F as presented. Number 4, leave of absence. We have another employee, 1379. We put the date in under D, hiring and transfers. The start of the new special ed teacher on September 27th. That's all that we have since committee.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Engler.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Ahern. Questions or comments? I have a question, Mr. Scholl. A few parents here tonight mentioned the music department and Mr. Kesser's workload. Could you give us any updates on, I know we had our orchestra teacher retire. Can you give us any updates on that?
Everyone on the faculty, we follow the CBA as far as the teaching load they are able to have. He has the teaching load that is acceptable by the CBA. He's not extended anymore than that. So he's teaching a full schedule.
And is there any thought as to looking into backfilling Mr. Danchenko's position?
If the need arises and we see an overflow of students, then yes, we'll bring that to them.
Overflow of students who want to be in orchestra or band? Okay. So we need the students to be putting forth their interest?
Yes.
And that's all grades, was it 4 through 12 now? So taking that, I guess, to our board representatives, student board representatives, taking that back to the buildings, and Dr. Solomon taking that back into their principals to get our students to want to sign up. And then we can make the case to have more faculty added to the department.
Can I ask a question regarding that? Do the band and the orchestra attend like a pep assembly or a, whatever you want to call it, for the 4th and 5th graders to show them what this is about, the band, the orchestra? And they did it when I was in junior high school is when they did it. And it got me to join. So
Mr. Smith does a recruiting assembly at the 4 or 5 building, yes.
they do that.
Yes, he's already done it.
And when you say recruiting assembly, do they perform for the whole or just take names of those that are interested?
I believe all students attend that.
Okay.
But I appreciate the sentiment, Mrs. White. I think that's something that I know I did as a kid in high school, in attending the elementary schools in hopes to get kids interested in music and wanting to play instruments. So I would encourage our music department to do that if they aren't already. Any other questions? Roll call.
Ahern.
Yes.
Alexandra. Bennett.
Yes.
Engler.
Yes.
Pistonik.
Yes.
Mattis.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
DeSenza.
Yes.
Blazevich.
Yes. 10 non-certified personnel.
Yes, Mr. President, under A, we have nothing under resignations. We added one paraeducator that has resigned. Under D, hiring and firing, hiring and transfers, we have a person transferring into the cafeteria from the paraprofessional. And all other things, except for under E, other, we recommended the 3% increase for the part-time nurse at Clare Park. It was added since committee meetings.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. DeSenza,
Second.
second by Mr. Bennett. Mr. Mattis. Thank you, Mr. Mattis. Questions or comments? I have a question, number 3, about the nurses. Are they certified? I don't know exactly what that means, but.
We have 2 school nurses that are school nurse certified. Under PD regulations, they're able to care for 1,500 students per. The other 2 nurses are RNs, so it's a step up from just being an LPN or a nurse's assistant. So we're very fortunate to have those 2 ladies with us.
Thank you. And then I was wondering if you want to make a comment about the paraprofessional shortage that we're running into.
Well, we're attempting to allure and attract candidates, but however, we have to work within the confinement of the contract. So we see the same issues as everybody else does. So it needs to be either the union comes to us and proposes something, we want to open that contract, give us a little bit of leeway, or we got to keep it where it's at, because if we do, then we'll be in breach of contract with the SEIU.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Ahern.
Yes.
Alexandra.
Yes.
Bennett.
Yes.
Engler.
Yes.
Pistonik.
Yes.
Mattis.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
DeSenza.
Yes.
Blazevich.
Yes. 11, athletic personnel.
Under A, we have nothing. Under resignations as presented. Hirings, this is where we did have the addendum for the varsity girls basketball coach. And that is all.
Do I have a motion?
In January for positions, in February for spring coaches, we voted for winter sports coaches. We've never as a whole voted for football coaches. Are they included or are they separate from every other entity? Because we vote for volunteers and we vote for positions for everybody, but it seems football, unless there's a one or two person that we need to add. Does it, the
All positions come before the board as far as the paid positions. From what we understand, volunteer coaches, we've just started now approving them this year.
So the volunteers for football as well will have to be approved.
And all coaches should be approved, no matter what,
Okay,
volunteer or paid.
okay. I just want a clarification. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandra,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes to all but C3.
Astounding.
Considering I just received the news about this morning, yes, the girls need somebody to condition them.
So,
Is it-
Yes.
yes, on everything? Okay.
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
White,
Yes to everything but C3.
DeSenza,
Yes.
Blazevich.
Yes.
Mr. President, everything passed on the 9-0 vote with the exception of C3, which passed on a 7-2 vote.
12 substitutes.
We have nothing, oh, I'm sorry, under cafeteria, we have one person. Why?
Do I have a motion? Motion by Mr. Bennett,
Second.
second by Mrs. Ahern. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandra,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Astounding,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
DeSenza,
Yes.
Blazevich.
Yes. 13 conferences.
Under conferences, Mr. President, we added 3 since we met. We have 2 science teachers participating in the PSCC conference at Penn Trafford High School, and our literacy coach is participating in the comprehension, closed reading, and complex text through the AIU.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mrs.
Second.
Costello,
Second.
second by Mrs. Ahern. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandra,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Astounding,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
Yes.
DeSenza,
Yes.
Blazevich.
Yes. 14 board presidents correspondence. I received correspondence related to paraprofessionals from some folks in the audience tonight. A few other correspondence related to marquee items, which we also talked about last week and this week, and also voted on this evening. 15 executive session discussion, legal and personnel matters were discussed. 16 board committee reports. Committee reports were given last week. Mrs. Costello, did you want to give the Steel Center report?
Mrs. White filled in for me this month.
Thank you, Mrs. White.
Yes, I did attend that meeting and it was very professional. I really enjoyed it. They are back full-time with masks right now. And the big topic is the construction that needs to be done in the Steel Center, which our students go there, so we're part of paying for that construction. Now, the head of Steel Center did offer to make an appointment and come talk with the board just to give them an update, and he promised it would be no more than 10 minutes. So I think that we should take advantage of that, just so that everybody sees what work is entailed, how much it is, how important it is, and how much it's going to cost us.
I recommend it. I think we should have them present. And you're talking about the construction items and requests. They're looking to ask the different.
Renovation, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you. I also think it wouldn't be a bad idea to have them present to us the number of students that we have going to school there and the different subject matter that they're studying in as well, so that we understand sort of, our population in that building, and our commitment to the Steel Center. Any other committees want to make a report from, I know we made most of them last week.
I have a question on the Steel Center. So obviously we know what's coming down the pipe. They're remodeling the Steel Center and they're gonna ask everybody for money. And all the districts are gonna want to chip in. My question is, to Joe, would our construction fund be able to go to that, or where would that money come from, the general fund?
Now, they started talking about this 2 years ago before COVID, and I believe that our contribution, based on whatever bond they were taking out for 20 or 30 years for the repairs that they had slated at that time, which has probably changed, it was somewhere around 100,000, 110,000, which would be our financial contribution going on. So they'll issue a bond with the credit rating of all the combined schools, I believe it was, and they'll have a bond, and we'll just have to make a payment to them. I don't know if we can use construction fund to pay for a bond payment of another construction project. That we could look in, I don't know that answer to that question, but.
Okay, you answered that. I was wondering where, but making payments, we don't have to come up with one large sum.
I'm sorry?
We would make payments, we wouldn't.
Yeah, they'll do a bond issuance, and we'll just have to write them a check every year for our portion of the bond payment.
Gotcha, thank you.
I believe, Joe, that range is about $179,000.
Oh, was it?
It's
Is it
gone
now?
up
It's
since
gone up?
2 years, yes.
So it was about 110, though, was it?
I don't recall that number, I know
Okay.
it's about 179,000. I wasn't on Steel Center then.
You can tell us what it is when you present.
Can COVID funds be used for any of that?
I don't know. I hope, it would be nice, this is a couple years that we have it. The list is very specific. I'm sure some of the items that they're fixing would qualify for it, but if we can take our COVID money and pay for the construction, it's worth looking at.
Thank you.
17, solicitors report.
No report for public session, Mr. President.
Thank you. 18, old business.
Under old business, last week we were invited to the new school store. I can't remember the name, but up the high school. Tight Jump. This place was amazing. I was floored. They have a press, sweatshirt, t-shirt press that puts logos on shirts, t-shirts, license plates, keychains, you name it, they have it, and it's for sale. And they had some pretty good coffee too, so very good job by the teachers involved. The students were just so bright and so happy. And they gave us a lot of stories about, at-risk students that were heading down the wrong path, and now they're, top of their class and coming to school every day. So I just wanted to let you guys know that a lot of us up here toured that, and it was incredible. So.
I'll add on a little bit too, Bill. A lot of our boosters spend a decent amount of money, and some other organizations on apparel and, spirit gear. They'll do any design, they'll do any fabric. I would shop there first because their prices are quite less than half of what we're paying through, like the band Spirit. I bought sweatpants and sweatshirt for $60. Over there is like $28 for both of them, and it'd be screen printed just as if they were through the Spirit wear.
About the fighting softball. I love it personally myself. My sophomore year, I used to go to the middle of nerve. I used to I used to be like maybe 20 seconds late to class, or coffee or iced coffee to the point where I was sitting in class. Yeah, never right. I would always eat like Mr. Bowser, and I would chill. Yeah, I'd always have my coffee in my hand. He wouldn't care, but like that is a step in the right direction for the school district. I think that's very positive. I always stop there every morning, get my coffee, stop by the cafeteria, get a pack of donuts, and then actually be like That would make my more yes. So, you guys supporting that, that's a great.
Right. Everybody remembers a few months ago, we voted on a POS system, point of sale, Mr. Salt brought to our attention with Mr. Esper. That is up and running there too, and they're also cutting a hole in the wall for a drive-through window. So, I don't know if the public's allowed up there, but please check our website. I do know, I was talking to Mr. Salt, they want to start having ordering on the website, so, yeah, I mean, my mom's always looking, she gotta go down Rite Aid and buy the garbage West Mifflin stuff, so, now she can get quality stuff, made by our kids, so. Check it out.
They have embroidery too, they're still figuring it out, but they have embroidery as well. Any other old business?
I'd like to make a motion to put the repair of the marquee out to bid.
Out to bid?
Yes, out to bid. Somebody that's not a buddy.
So,
A buddy.
carry on now.
We need to be specific in a motion. Exactly.
Maybe we can have a motion to authorize the business office and solicitor to formulate a RFP for that, or a bid document. My concern is that it may need a specific vendor because of the sign that it is. No different than if you have a General Motors car, you take it back to the General Motors to get fixed. You don't take a Ford there. I just don't know enough about the piece of equipment and how many other vendors supply that piece of equipment in this area. So I really didn't look at that to see.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with directing to go get bids on it, but I think we may have to put some bid document together. And without knowing that, I couldn't tell you how to write the specifications specifically this evening. So if we are directed, we have a motion directing the business office to create a bid to get that work bid, we can do that.
I have a question on this whole thing, and whether we replace it or repair it, I'm being told that we're struck by lightning. Do we have any ground fault interrupters, any lightning rods? I mean, you say we voted $70,000 tonight and it got struck by lightning again next week. Do we have anything in place to protect us?
Again,
That would be called.
I think maybe
the
the maintenance department may know that answer.
We had an expert here last week to talk about it, Bill. I won't relitigate it.
I mean,
We have a motion on the floor. I
Can we-
think I'd like to have her restate her motion and then we can see if we have a second.
I had a question on the motion.
Well, we didn't
We
make
didn't
a
have
motion or a
one.
second.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we don't have one.
I'm sorry.
Gene, did you understand what, Mr. Matter was saying about the
Yes.
motion? Do you want to restate it, please?
I would like to motion to put a bid out for
To direct the
repair of the
business,
marquee.
to direct the business office to put the bid out?
Yes. Joe, basically, it's coming to you, so.
The only concern I would have with that is that it's a Nevco product. And, we could do it and that would come at a cost of advertising and putting it in papers or whatever we have to do. But I'm not so sure how many people can fix a Nevco specific product and they have.
When Mr. Mata tells you to put out a request in a boilerplate, we just can't, and I don't think we can just. You're gonna pay somebody to come in and write you a job description of what you want fixed. We don't even know what's wrong with the damn thing.
Exactly.
What if Nevco went out of business, then, and it broke, even if it's under warranty, it's not covered? Because nobody can do what Nevco can do.
Here's my
I'm
question.
not saying nobody can do what Nevco can do, but we're gonna have to pay somebody else to come in and take a look at it first.
And I'm not sure because the insurance company has already spoken with Nevco. Nevco's relating information to them. That's who they got the quote on based on what Nevco provided. I'll do whatever you want. I just don't know, I don't know how that would work with it.
Can I ask what the committee recommended? I can't
Let's
hear
set
you.
it back to the committee then.
I'm
not-
sorry.
I'm only one person. I mean, without meeting with the
No, the
committee.
majority of the committee.
Well, you're asking,
I don't know what you're at.
what are you asking?
What did the committee recommend?
The committee.
What did the committee recommend?
recommended repair.
We didn't, the committee recommended the replacement.
So how
That's
did
what
it end
ended
up
up on
on
the
the agenda as new?
No, he said replace it.
Replace.
My question for bringing it up was when, before I was a board member, I was a taxpayer sitting in the audience when the stadium and the high school gymnasium scoreboards were purchased. And an individual from the community stood at the meeting and spoke and said, had I known that you guys were gonna do a purchase like this, I would have liked to have put a bid in because this is what I do for a living and I live here. So there's more than one company out there.
I guess, my point is, I'm not saying that if we were looking for a new sign that we wouldn't be able to. My concern is make sure whatever, equipment that is broken, we can get, and maybe only the dealer for that manufacturer can get that. So I'm not sure. Again, I don't know. I'm just saying that the motion should be to direct the business office and my office to create a bid document that is appropriate to get people to bid it. And we can put it out and have somebody come in, look at it, and if they say they can replace it with a generic part, and you're comfortable with that, the board can pick that vendor when we get that pricing from them.
All I know is this thing has been out for about a month now. Part of the reason why I voted the way I did was because we can fix it in 3 weeks. If we're gonna put this back at the committee and we're gonna play with this thing, it's gonna be another 4 months till it's fixed. So
Phil, there was, I would disagree, but I mean, there was no commitment on that vendor's part that that thing was actually gonna be totally fixed.
I understand that.
No one's actually looked at it. We were told from a distance that
You gotta do what you want.
The insurance claim
So-
was filed based on information, a quote that was provided by Netco.
So-
That would be my concern.
Can I interrupt you? Bill, we're gonna do what we all need to do. Gina, if you wanna make a motion to direct the business office to create a bid document and put it out to bid, I say you make that motion, and if we get a second, we vote on it, okay?
Okay.
Would you please state that?
I would like to make a motion for the business office to put a bid out with the help of solicitor's office to repair the marquee.
And NEPCO could still respond to that.
True.
That's right.
Yes.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Aaron, Mrs. White seconds the motion. Is there any questions or comments about the motion?
I guess my one question is, NEPCO is not the one who is going to be fixing this. They use a subcontractor. I just don't think that, I understand what you're attempting to do, I just don't know if we're doing it the right way. I just don't know if it makes sense. I think we're gonna get to a point where our solicitors tell us, first off, we engage with the insurance company already. So there has to be something as far as that goes. I mean,
Well, I think we'd have to come back to a meeting, or they would have to come back and either talk to, if we picked a new vendor, understand, what those prices are and how that,
A lot of
how that comes back,
times
what they
it's
quote us
$50,000 to
on.
get it fixed.
And insurance will pay for it.
I did not hear you.
So insurance will pay 50, if it costs us 50 grand to fix it, they're gonna pay it.
Yep,
Yes.
we discussed that last week. It makes no sense to us either.
Mr. President, Mr. DeSenza brings up a good point. He's right, the parts are NEPCO parts because it's a NEPCO sign. The installer is Royal Signs. So, and their charge was $14,500. If you could put it out to bid to someone else to fix it, I misspoke, you would still have to use NEPCO parts.
correct, NEPCO is going to be involved in the process.
Yes.
Is that,
Well, before we can vote on that motion, I'm not saying that the board cannot continue to discuss, but before you can vote, we have a
Right.
member of the public that is standing to question. And since it is a motion that she did not have an opportunity to discuss before, she has the right to do so.
Yep, and I just want to make one point real quick. We didn't write, Joe, we did not write the bid document yet. In that bid document, we can say 16 by whatever foot LED screen does not need to say Nevco on it, right? We can request,
I can't, I can wait till it's over.
I mean, it's essentially a replacement.
My concern is if we're replacing it entirely, that's one thing, if we're repairing that, maybe some of the other things that are there need to have, they need to talk, so to speak.
I agree with-
Electrical components
And
need to have, so they may need to be the same equipment. I don't know that, we'll have to find out.
And I guess, Gina, then I have a question for you on your motion. Is your motion to create a bid document to replace the marquee
No,
or repair the marquee?
Repair. Repair.
To repair it, okay.
Didn't the gentleman say?
Now then Tony does have a valid point because to repair, it's gonna be on Nevco, it's gonna be on Nevco parts, I would imagine. Like the gentleman said here last
We
week.
spent this much time on education.
So we can put the bid, just the manpower, which is what I think is what we're saying, is the manpower to replace it.
Sure.
Because the parts are gonna be all the same, I would imagine.
Yes.
Like the Nevco company's gonna sell whoever puts the new parts in, which is what we're gonna bid out. So I don't know if that makes sense. I mean, we're still,
The insurance company has already approved it all.
okay, so we're putting the manpower, the $14,000 contract that we're not paying for.
now can I speak?
Yeah.
Okay.
The board recognizes Mrs. Vanessa.
Okay, I listened to the meeting last week when the gentleman made his presentation. He said, he did state in his presentation that there may be issues with getting parts. Because it's 10 years old, they may have issues getting parts. Now, I can make this extremely simple in understanding what Tony is, Mr. DeCenzo, excuse me, is saying that, here's a very easy example. If you have a service panel coming into your house and it's a square D service panel, then you have to use square D circuit breakers in that panel. If it's a Murray panel, you must use Murray circuit breakers in that panel. So if they open this up and they find additional issues with it, then Nevco has to provide the parts, which the gentleman said you can't guarantee all of getting the parts. And the thing is too, is they remotely diagnosed what they could. Opening up, they could find a whole can of worms, and for what? I mean, I understand money spent on education, and we have that money. We have the COVID money. We have the money that came from the state, $12 million. That's to be used for educational purposes. But this construction fund money is to be used for construction. And it doesn't matter who comes in and gives the bid, you're gonna have to get the parts from Nevco, or whatever the name of the place is, because you have to replace it with their parts. Just like a square D service panel uses square D breakers.
Mrs. Vanessa, I believe that the man said that to repair it would take, what, 3 weeks?
They could start it in 3 weeks.
Correct.
It would not take 3 weeks.
And to replace it.
Now, there's
would take 10
a ton of ships waiting at the LA port to try to get in to bring stuff, and that's why there's a shortage. So you're still gonna have to use their parts no matter what. And then you don't know what the other company would charge to put those parts in. And then
It would just be
are they
nice to,
qualified?
not nice to
This is
know
electronic.
if it's fried or what. Nobody has told us anything.
I mean, I firmly believe, as I talk to my son who deals with computers, that most likely, most of it is fried in there, being struck by lightning.
So if most of it is fried, an insurance company's gonna give us $60,000 to fix it, but we're gonna settle for 17 because that's what the thing says. I want somebody to get in there and look at it and tell me if it'll work or not.
I agree.
Mr. Montifer.
Excuse me, Mr. President, sir, 1 second. If that's your concern, that we want another person to go in and look
I
at
don't want
it.
another person.
You just want one.
I want someone.
Somebody to
What I'm
look
saying
at
is,
it. Tell us what's wrong with it.
They can't, he said last week, until they've been in there, they can't.
I know what they said.
And they also told us that they'll fix it. They'll fix it and bring it back to the position that it was in before it got struck by lightning. No matter what the cost is, until it over exceeds what it's worth. So roll the dice.
It's not gonna be the way it was before because
It
they
has to
have
be.
new components.
Mr. Nesbitt,
Mr.
Mr. Nesbitt.
Please. Thank you, Bill. Mr. Monch?
Yeah, there's just a lot of what ifs, being thrown around, and what I'm hearing is nobody has even opened the thing up to look at it, to see what actually happened. And everybody wants to what if this to death. Why don't we just open it up and look at it first? And diagnose the problem, put eyes on it. I'm hearing it was diagnosed remotely, and what if this, and what if that? Let's put eyes on it, open it up and look at it and see what's wrong with it first. And like Mr. Bennett had made the point, they're gonna pay $60,000, to fix it as opposed to give the board 17 to replace it. I mean, that's a no-brainer. It makes sense to put out to have somebody come look at it and see if it can be repaired and see what you can get from the insurance. That's what you're paying for the insurance for. And if you get it repaired, you're still gonna have it insured. I don't care if you're telling me the warranty's expired, it's still gonna be insured. It just sounds like you wanna use the same people that put the Jumbotron in, that are gonna sell you a new marquee. And that's what Nevco was trying to do to you in the first place, is sell you a new marquee. That's what they wanna do, sell you a new marquee. So let's look at it first and see what it's gonna cost to be repaired. It's already been out 3 weeks, a little bit longer is not gonna hurt anything. You're gonna have to wait for parts and the new thing to come anyway, even if you do replace it. So what's it gonna hurt to wait a little bit longer? Just wait a little bit longer, see if you can repair it. If they come back and say, look, we can't repair it, it's gonna need to be replaced, then you can revisit it. And you can tell us we were all wrong anyway. You can tell me I'm wrong. I'm okay with that, tell me I'm wrong.
I agree with
Let's
you.
look at it first and see.
Sir, I agree with you 100%.
I don't
The way-
think you do.
the way it was-
With all due respect, you do not.
Well, no,
Well, no.
well, if you let me finish, the
No, that's
the vendor,
he's talking about.
the vendor explained to us yesterday that that's not an option. They can't.
Of course, Tyler's gonna tell you, if he wants to sell you a new marquee, he's not gonna tell you that's.
Well, I'm just going off the information that's given to us.
Thank you.
Because I think that we,
Mr. Matt, please.
I think we have a motion to put a request to have somebody repair it. I think it may be better, and Ms. Wells, I'm assuming over the years you've had either this marquee or other types of equipment serviced throughout the district. I know we have a few vendors that do electrical work, different things. I think it may be more appropriate for what the board's trying to get to, and if I'm incorrect about the motion, please tell me, but I think it may be appropriate to have Ms. Wells either look with people that are already doing some service work within the district, or to go out and call a couple of people and have them come out and look at it and give us an analysis, if somebody's out there to do that. Would you be able to do that, Ms. Wells? And I think that's really what the board's looking for. They're not looking to get it repaired immediately, they're looking to know what the repair needs to be. Is that correct?
Correct.
So if we can do that, we can not have the motion, just direct Ms. Wells to get that information for the next, or for a meeting for the committee here in the next 2 weeks. I think we should be able to have an answer.
Thank you, Sandy.
So do we have to table this?
I think we would, yes, rescind those motions and just not even have them at this point.
Is there any Robert's rules that we need to go through?
I think we can vote the table. We have a motion to table.
Do we have a motion to table the motion by Mrs. Engler?
I'm sorry, we have a motion on, Mount wants a motion to table.
Yes, motion to table, please.
Second.
Second, motion by Mrs. Engler, second by Mrs. White. Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Scotty,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Senza.
Yes.
Lacefish.
Yes. Any other old business? 19, new business.
New business, I am requesting, the uniform cycles for all the sports teams.
When you say uniform cycles, do you mean like
It- We do these in cycles, like a 5-year cycle, 4-year cycle.
when they got new uniforms?
Correct, because some of our kids need new uniforms.
Middle school as well, please.
Before we go on, if I just may, because this is some new process, the state put in some new regulations. Previously, you were allowed, and as we addressed it at the beginning of the meeting, any motions from the floor are supposed to be made at the beginning. There's a process, only certain things can be done in a certain manner. Any expenditures, clearly, that needs to take place. This last motion, I'll let it go through because there is a clause if it's minutia. And I thought at that point, there was no cost to it. Because even if we would have put that out to repair, I'm gonna take this down if you can hear me. Even if we would have taken it out to repair, our cost was only $500 because it was being covered by insurance. If we're going, and I think we're moving into a direction that we're gonna talk about purchasing of some type of uniforms of some type, that should be either discussed prior to the meeting to make an amendment to the agenda with the new laws. I didn't create these.
All I want to do is have the cycles. For the
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you wanted to buy something, I apologize.
She's just asking,
For the uniform cycles, that's all.
for all,
Correct.
all sports?
Correct.
Fall,
And
winter?
middle school, high school and middle school.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Any other new business?
Is there a way that the board can get a list of all the sports games, whether they're home, away, for every sport, please?
Mr. Stevenson used to put out like a bifold.
That was through, that company went out of business.
Oh, okay.
Because that company would go around and solicit all the
I
businesses, and they would make their money through that, and we'd get the sports calendars for free. That business that's covered, that company is no longer in existence, that's why we don't have the calendars with sports calendars.
Is that something that we can look? Is that something that we can look into?
Another company, how about that?
I just know there's other school districts that actually have a full, like,
Can any of our students at the
Calendar.
high school? Yeah, why can't we utilize our students in the graphics art department?
sure, we need to look into it. So I'm just asking if Mr. Souls would look into it, or have somebody look into it. Any other new business? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Stone. Second by Mrs. Ames.